Hello, everybody. It's the Ward on Sports with me, Dan Ward. This time talking about the AL West and my predictions and a little preview of how I think this division is going to unfold in 2021. Now, I'll start off by saying I do think that this is going to be the worst division in the American League. Probably only a two-team race through the majority of the season, but we'll see who can edge out the other and who will be golfing early this fall. First, we start with Seattle, who's still a bit of a mess after Kevin Mather said those idiot comments about his now former team. On the field, they shouldn't be as much of a mess, but they still are in a rebuilding year. They're still in a bit of a transition year. They have one of the best farm systems in baseball. I believe they're number 3 according to MLB.com upon recording. So that will be something to look out for, something to keep track of, similar to the Tigers, see if they can build their prospects up and get something rolling here in the next couple of years. They are one of the least talked about teams in the MLB, being on the West Coast and in a bit of a smaller market and not being very good. So there's really not much to talk about from a general standpoint, and I don't really have much to talk about them either. I think they're not going to be that great of a team, but I don't think they're going to be the worst. That is save for the Texas Rangers, who are in for a 100-plus loss season this year. They traded away Elvis Andrus, and while they brought in Chris Davis, that is not going to be enough to combat all the bats that they lost in free agency. This team has not been very good in quite a few years, and it looks like it's going to be at least another year before they get things right. Unlike the Mariners, they do not have a very good farm system, so I'm not exactly sure what they're looking for this year. I think that there's going to be a lot of varying moves made throughout the organization from low A to the MLB. That's what they're going to be doing. That's kind of the exciting line, or what are the behind-the-scenes move for the Rangers? Will they have some guys that explode this season in order to then be trade candidates, and maybe they can revamp their team a little faster by getting some good prospects from playoff contenders? That's really the hope for the Rangers this year. Not really looking forward to it in Texas. But hey, at least you have a nice new ballpark to play at. The team that could ruin my predictions, and I wouldn't be surprised, with the team represented on my head right now in the Oakland Athletics. Similar to the Rays, they do not have a lot of money in their payroll, and they were the ones who basically invented Moneyball. They bring in these players, not a lot of big-name talent, but then they maximize their talent and get the most out of them. And they've been very successful over the last few years doing that. But I wasn't crazy about their offseason, and I don't know if they're going to be able to repeat that success that they've had in recent years. They lost Marcus Semien, Liam Hendricks, Robbie Grossman, among others. They brought in Sergio Romo, who's going to be a good bullpen piece, but one bullpen piece does not a team make. I think that they lost more than that they gained in the offseason, and when you're comparing that to the Astros, who are still the Astros, and the Angels, who have gotten better and are more optimistic about their season, it's just not a good look for the A's trying to compete in the West. I don't think that they'll necessarily be a bad team. I just think that this is going to be an off year for them. I have them right around 500 this season as my official prediction. They could surprise me. They could sneak a few wins here and there and steal the West. Again, worst division in the American League, so it's not going to take that many wins to win the division, in my opinion. But this season, I think, is more about retooling some things, rebuilding some things. Not a full rebuild, just a retool. Figure it out this season, come back next year, and try to win the West next year. The real battle for this division will be between the Angels and the Astros. Now, the Astros showed last year that they can still win, and they kept most of their core intact, so they still will be the favorites to win this division. But this year, they will have to play in front of the fans, and baseball fans have not forgotten about what they did in 2017 with their cheating throughout the playoffs and the World Series. And while they were able to combat that last year, the fans are going to be back in the stands in most, if not all, ballparks, and they are going to be harping on them all season long. And I don't care who you are, 81 games on the road, and probably a lot of fans booing them at home too, but at least 81 games of dealing with opposing fans, consistently booing you, consistently yelling at you, consistently trying to get under your skin and reminding you of you're a cheater and you hurt the game, you hurt the integrity of the game, you suck, all that type of stuff. All the things that they're going to yell, all the things that are not appropriate for this YouTube channel. They're going to be yelling at you. That's going to drain on you if you're a human being. Just doesn't matter. It's a lot to take over 81 games. And all it takes is a couple of games here and there that gets in their head. They don't play as well. They lose just those few games, and that could be the difference in the West and allow the Angels to steal the title from them. And then on the baseball diamond, I just don't think that they're as good as they used to be. I think losing George Springer hurts them a lot both defensively as well as offensively, but also in the clubhouse. He was a great clubhouse guy. Everybody liked him, and that really does mean a lot for a good team. I also think that relying on Zach Greinke at this point in his career is a lot to ask of him. For him to be your number one pitcher, to be your ace this year, I'm just not sold. I think Greinke is definitely on the downturn for his career. Maybe he can prove me wrong, but I'm a little worried about him being their ace. And then I think that bullpen still has a lot of questions that need to be answered. And then the Angels, meanwhile, have solidified their bullpen pretty well and look like they may have one of the best offenses in baseball. Shohei Ohtani is back with a vengeance both on the mound and at the plate. Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon get to bat 2-3 or 3-4, however they decide to play them for an entire season as opposed to just 60 games. Albert Pujols is motivated to break records before retiring. So this offense is looking really good. But as it always does for the Angels, it comes down to their starting pitching. I do really like the addition of Jose Quintana. They have him projected currently as the 5th starter for that team, but I think he has the potential to be way better than that. So as long as the starting pitching holds up, I think that the Angels can run away with this division, or at least sneak it away from the Astros. Baseball is weird and it has to have some variety, and I think this is the year that the Astros stumble a little bit with the fans. The Angels finally put everything together. They just get past the Astros, and Mike Trout finally gets another chance to show what he can do in the playoffs. So we have the Angels narrowly beating out the Astros in a close one. The Oakland Athletics finishing around 500 as they retool some things. The Mariners looking for bright spots from their big prospects. And the Rangers doing a lot of shuffling up and down their farm system. So that wraps up the American League previews for me. NL previews are on their way, so be sure to be on the lookout for those. Thank you always for all of the support everybody gives me. Be on the lookout for more videos in general, especially now with the MLB season shortly upon us. I'm Dan Ward. This is the Ward on Sports. Catch you next time.